Hey guys, so this is the first module in our Algebra 1 skills modules that we're going to go over, and it's a review of expressions. So the first thing I want to talk about are what are expressions? Well, expressions are things like equations, but they don't have an equal sign. So it's just like simplifying or evaluating. Those are the directions that you're going to have. You're going to still find a number, but you're not actually solving anything because there's no equal sign. So the objectives of this video are to write algebraic equations using content-appropriate language, sum, product, difference, quotient, that sort of thing. We're going to be evaluating, finding a number for numeric expressions using order of operations, otherwise known as PEMDAS. We're going to be simplifying algebraic expressions, meaning expressions that have x's and y's and variables, by combining like terms. And we're going to be solving proportions. So this is actually split up into three different categories. Really, it's numerical expressions, algebraic expressions, and then proportions. So let's go through numerical expressions. Those are just with numbers. So if you see an equation just with numbers, that is a numeric expression. That means we need to use order of operations. You guys might know this as PEMDAS, where we evaluate in this order. Anything in parentheses, an exponent. The M and the D stand for multiplication or division, but if there's only multiplication or division in the problem, then we just do whatever comes first, or addition and subtraction. So the tricky part is with the parentheses, because there could be parentheses inside parentheses, then we evaluate from inside out. Or there could be a fraction, which everyone loves, 8 minus 5 divided by 3. That is a secret parentheses around the top part. We don't write it in mathematics, but there is a parentheses there. We would evaluate the top and then divide by the bottom. So here's a few examples of this. So in this case, we would see that there's parentheses, so we would evaluate the inside parentheses first. So 18 minus 10 divided by 2. These brackets stand for parentheses, so we would do 18 minus 10, which is 8, divided by 2, which is 4. There's my grand total for PEMDAS. When it says evaluate, okay, that means I have a bunch of x's and y's, and I have to plug in 3 for x and 0.5 for y. So that's my first step in all of these. So I do 3 times 3 squared plus 3 parentheses 0.5 minus 5. Well, in this case, I would evaluate the parentheses first. 3 times 3 squared plus 3 times negative 4.5. Now I'm going to square the 3 because this parentheses really means multiplication. It's another way of writing multiplication. When I say parentheses in the grouping symbols here, it means like any addition or subtraction inside there. There's no addition or subtraction. It's just one number. So I'm just going to evaluate it as a multiplication. 3 squared is 9 plus 3 times negative 4.5. Now, the tricky part is that both of these are multiplication, separated by an addition sign. So I can actually evaluate those both at the same time because they're both the same step. So this is going to be 27 plus, now this is going to be negative 12.5. Well, now I have 27 plus negative 12.5 plus a negative is the same thing as minus. So really, I would just subtract these and I would get 14.5 as my result. And that is how I would evaluate that using PEMDAS. Those are numeric expressions. The next practice problems, I'm going to provide you the answers, so you can pause the video at this point to see these answers and check your work. Now the trick is whenever you have a fraction or something like that, you have to evaluate everything on top, everything on bottom, and then do the division. Remember, fractions are just division. Let's step on to a word problem where it is just a numeric expression. They're going to give you an equation. They're going to ask you to plug stuff in. So for a science experiment, Sarah counts the number of breaths needed for her to blow up a beach ball. That doesn't really matter. She will then find the volume of the beach ball in cubic centimeters and then divide the number of breaths to find the average volume of air per breath. That is a procedure. She is going to find the volume and then divide by the number of breaths to find the average volume of the air per breath. That is a procedure. That is how you are going to do this problem. So her beach ball has a radius of 9 inches. First she converts radiuses to centimeters. They're using the formula C equals 2.54 I, where C is the length in centimeters and I is the length in inches. Okay, really, it's just saying 9 inches, plug it in there, and how many centimeters? So, C equals 2.54 times 9. 2.54 times 9 is 22.86. Okay, now that is centimeters. Now the volume of the sphere is given by this formula, where R is the radius. Well, we know the radius from this is 22.86. So what is the volume? Well, now I take that and I go 4/3 pi times 22.86 cubed. Well, the first thing I want to do is I see this, there's a fraction. Most people have trouble with that. So what I do is I write everything that doesn't have a fraction, that goes on top, because this is really all over 1. Okay, and the 3 is just I'm going to divide everything by 3 at the end. So the first thing I do, I evaluate 22.86 cubed. So I'd use the caret button and hit the 3. And now I'm going to multiply by pi, and then multiply by 4. So on top, after I evaluate all that, I get 150,119.99 divided by 3. Now I get my grand total of, I can write over here, 50,039.99. I'm going to round that up. 50,040 cubic centimeters. Now, Sarah takes 40 breaths to blow up the beach ball. So right now, I found the volume, and then I'm going to divide by the number of breaths to find the average volume per breath. So now I have 40 breaths, so I'm going to take my result, 50,040, and I'm going to divide by 40, and I'm going to get 1,250 breaths, cubic centimeters per breath. And that is how I evaluate a numeric expression. Next video is going to be on algebraic expressions.